Okay, now I'm gonna look away in case something fails on that switch. Alright, what's up guys? So we just rolled up to a job here. A customer complained of wires down. Actually it said secondary wires down, so somebody that must know a little bit about what they're talking about. And what it is, it's our mainline neutral. So it's pretty obvious what happened here. Let's jump into the truck actually. So you can see there our mainline neutral, and still got a branch hanging up there. So our mainline neutral is broke mid-span. The primary is still energized. So even though we have a multi-grounded system, and that neutral should be at ground potential, we're not going to be touching that. So we can see up top here where a tree come down, burn off, and it must have been in contact with the primary, traveling through the tree out the neutral and burn the neutral wire down. You can see it down on this other end here. Ooh, right across an entrance to a snowmobile trail. In fact, one of the snowmobile or ATV riders must have moved that wire by hand, which is a really bad idea. So you can see the wires mangled pretty good there. But now, what the issue is here, this is a radial feed. I've actually worked on this specific line not too long ago where we had a neutral break and it was still up in the air hanging by the ground wire. We were able to use a ground and hot sticks and jump her out the neutral, and we drew a small arc, so there was definitely current on the neutral going back to source, especially where it's a radial feed. There's no alternate path for the return to travel through other than the ground. Where it is a multi-grounded system, the ground itself does act as a sort of a neutral, but you certainly don't want to rely on that. So we're going to use one of our procedures here. What we're going to do is, I've already called for backup. We called the boss, we've got a crew on their way, but while they're heading down here, I'm going to try to get a few things kind of prepped here. If this was primary down, well, not really a residential area, we're in a rural area, but there is houses around. If that was primary line down, I would not leave the area. I would stand by to make sure nobody went near it. If I had the fire department here, I'd get them to secure the area and I would go dump the line. But if it was energized on the ground and no one else is around, I'm going to stick around, and I'd probably even block the road off depending on how close it was to the road. So what we're going to do, I'll give the crew a shout. They're probably going to be about 45 minutes getting down here. So I'm going to go open the line. Maybe we can, might be able to get some coverage here. We'll open the line and I'll get a radial permit. Radial permit meaning that there's no alternate feed to the customers down this line. Once I open that switch, it can't be backfed through a normal open. So we'll get that line opened. And not only we're going to go ground the line, we're not going to be really working on the primary. So we're going to install a trip ground on, but the purpose of the trip ground is going to act more like a bond for the neutral. We're going to bond on either side of the broken neutral up through the primary. And for one, there should no longer be any current on the neutral because the power is out to all the customers downstream. And if there is any, it's going to be at the same potential as everything we're working on the structure, including either side of the break, because they're going to be bonded up through the primary. The primary is going to be a path to make sure that there's equal potential on either side of the break. So neutral wire, I'm allowed to connect a service to the neutral wire by myself. But where it's a broken neutral on the primary system, I can't actually go hands on that wire until backup shows up. But I can use the sticks and do a little bit of prep work. So as usual, I'll be able to show you guys a little bit at what I'm looking at on the screen here. So that red, that's my GPS, that's my location. The blue marker is the target I put down as I was driving up to the call. So it was pretty close to the address reported. Now I'm going to zoom out here. I'll pause it because it's going to show a whole bunch of information. All right, we're good to go. So for those of you that have been watching the channel, you'll know now that the red line is single phase and the blue lines are three-phase lines. So the three-phase feed at the top right of the screen comes in here, and there's probably a switch where it goes down to the single phase here. There might even be one more in between my location and that three-phase, but we'll take a look at that in a sec. But if we keep going to the left, you can see right here where the line stops. The black is the road, the single phase stops. We're going to go down this other direction, and the single phase stops right here. So we are on a radial feed line. We're not going to have to go tag any other protection points. Now I'm going to zoom in one click here. Alright, we just had to pause things for a sec because it was bringing up everyone's address and stuff. But basically, there was another switch in between that three-phase and single phase. So that switch number there, 8002S065. There's a cutout feeding that single phase. We're going to open that cutout and remove the door and install our tag. So let's give dispatch a call. We'll provide them with the switch number we're going to be using for protection, as well as our work location. We got a mainline neutral down, 8002 line, pole 569, R52.
Alright, you said mainline neutral down, pole 8002, pole 569, R52, 10-4.
Okay, and I'll get a radio. It looks like 8002SO65 to the end of the line.
It looks like a radial, 8002SO65 to the end of the line, 10-4.
10-4.
How about I give you a call back here? I'm just going to have a look at it and check the protection point and make a permit for you, alright?
10-4, permit number 122459.
10-4, Aaron, and that's for a broken neutral, 8002 line, pole 569, R52, 10-4. 10-4, Aaron, and you were the protection 8002SO65 to the end of the line?
10-4, I agree with protection 8002SO65 to the end of the line.
Aaron, are you looking to take this permit now then?
Yeah, 10-4, I might as well take it now and I can start getting the line grounded and stuff there.
Sounds like a plan, Aaron. In that case, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and open 8002SO65 and install a radio work permit tag 122459. You can then check for potential. If none, protect yourself necessary bonds and grants at all times and go to work. When work is complete, personnel are clear, instructions remain clear, and all temporary bonds and grants have been removed. You can close 8002SO65, remove your tag, and report. 10-4.
10-4. I said whenever ready, I can go ahead and open 8002SO65, install radio permit tag 122459. We can then go ahead and check for potential. If none, install necessary grounds and bonds. Go to work. Alright, so we've got our switching instructions. These radial feeds, we get the entire instruct. We get the instruct to open the line, do our potential checks, grounding, do our work. As you heard in the instructions, we repeated back, and then we can re-energize the line once we're done. If it's a more complicated permit, if there's multiple protection points, if it's a mainline three-phase, basically we'll get the steps to open the line, and that's it. Open the line, check the potential, or check the protection points. We'll repeat those instructions back, then we'll get permission to install the grounds, go to work, and once the work is completed, we have to report that we are complete. At that point, they'll do further checks before we actually energize the line. So, yeah, let's head down the line and start the process here. All right, so we just rolled up to the switch here now. We're gonna get the truck set up. We're on a little bit of a slope here, so get a reel chocks out, cones, outrigger pads, all that stuff. And to open this switch, where a lot of times you can use the extendo stick, the telescopic big yellow stick, in this particular case, it's pretty safe to say there's going to be more than 10 amps going through that cutout. So we're going to put load buster on it. If you guys haven't seen that equipment before, I do have a video showing what the load buster is, how to use it, why, when, where, all that stuff. But like I said, we're going to strap the helmet cam on. Pretty good conditions here today to be able to film that. I'll put the helmet cam on and you'll see the process. Basically, I'm going to open the cutout with the load buster. We're going to remove the door. The door just hangs freely when there's wind, a lot of trees around. If by that slim chance that something happens, even if a car hits the pole, that door could swing up and close. In my almost 20-year career, we did have it happen once, and the repercussions of that happening can be very, very serious. So we do remove the door when working on the line. We don't necessarily remove the lead from the cutout on the source side. Some companies do, some companies don't. We do in certain circumstances. Perhaps if it's a porcelain cutout, this is a brand new cutout. Also, it is a solid door, so it's not a fused door. It's a door that's used for nothing more than this exact purpose, as a protection point, to isolate a certain section of the line without taking the whole line out. So we do have our 3-phase up ahead, and that's our switch right up there. Actually, it's not even, it's down to 2-phase here, and you can see where that switch carries on to feed the single phase. So let's get set up, and it's snowing out. It's actually cooled off a lot in the last hour or so. So we're gonna put our neck warmer on. Now, don't laugh, guys. A few of you have commented about my mullet already. I've been busy. I'm just making up excuses. But yeah, I got a mullet going on here. It's embarrassing. All right. So when using the load buster, it's only required to be on a 6-foot section of hot stick. I like using both sections, the A and B section. Gets myself a little further away from the device we're opening. Right now I'm probably, oh, maybe about 8 feet away. Also, before using the load buster, you do want to test the spring tension. Okay, now I'm going to look away in case something fails on that switch. And power is now out, down that way. Alright. So we're going to remove that cutout door. And not sure if you can see or not, but I've got our red do not operate tag on this particular switch number.
Just before we go any further here, guys, I wanted to take a minute to give a quick shout out to a young lineman located in Dallas, Texas. His name is Trent Carlock. He's 24 years old, got his journeyman lineman ticket last year. This guy designed an app you can download right onto your phone to help you with transformer banking. Let's take a look. So if you head to the Play Store on your phone, search for apps and type in XFMR, Lineman's Reference XFMR Lab. We'll click on that. I already have it purchased, so we're going to click Open. Digital Apprentice LLC. A little bit of a disclaimer. We're going to click Agree. Now, like I said, this app is designed to help practice with transformer banking, or even if you come across a setup in the field you don't recognize. Let's click on diagrams, and just to make this demonstration a little bit easier, we're going to click on single phase, single bushing, and practice. So it's all touch screen here. You can see it's quite a bit of detail. It's got the H2, the ground strap cut out. And all you gotta do is take your finger and drag and drop and start hooking this guy up. We got that ground strap connected and our H2. So we're going to close the fuse. You can see in the bottom right hand of the screen, it's showing your secondary readings, but you can also take your voltmeter. Let's turn that on, take our leads, place that on the secondary bushing, and start checking voltage. We've got 240 volts, 120 volts. You can also check down on your secondary wires. Now, I thought this was pretty cool. I went from the neutral to go up and check the voltage on the primary side, and it blew up my voltmeter. Don't ever use secondary voltmeter on primary voltage. Most voltmeters are only rated for 600 volts. All this was designed solely by Trent Carlock, so did a really great job. I found it pretty neat too. If you do make a mistake, we have the cutout closed in right now. Let's put a lead from one of the live bushings down neutral, and we blew the cutout. So a really great job in designing this app. That's Trent Carlock in Dallas, Texas, a 24-year-old lineman. As I mentioned, it is available in the Play Store. I'll see what I can do to find a link, and we'll put that in the description. Let's get back to our work permit.
All right, wow. So the crew just rolled in already. They just went by. They're going to head down to the work area. That was really quick. So what we're going to do, I'll use my little truck to ground one section of line, sorry, one side of the brake, and they'll set up on the other. A lot of times what we'll do, we'll cut the broken wire close to the pole, sleeve it mid-span and drag it over to the pole. That way they can sleeve it, they can do the splice right at the pole. Sometimes we'll sleeve it right mid-span wherever the brake is, just depending on circumstances. This one here, you see where the wire was junked in a couple spots. So we'll have to sleeve in probably 20 feet of wire anyways. So our next step, we're gonna head down there before they go on the line where I'm the permit holder. Even if for some reason I ended up sitting here for the next hour, they're not gonna start going down to work down there. Our guys, we have really strict regulations when working on permits. And until the permit holder meets the crew and we have our tailboard, let them know that the switch is open, check potential ground, that's all going to occur down there anyways. But we're going to go over that with them. We're going to have the tailboard discussing the 911 address, work location, protection points, all that stuff. So once we get that all done, we'll see if we can't get some more coverage when we check potential and ground the line. Alright guys, so just a slight change of plans in our tailboard. The primary wire is damaged as well, mid-span where the tree hit. So instead of me putting the ground on one end, the crew putting the ground on the other, and sleeving it, at that pole, I'm going to use my little truck, ground either side. The crew's going to set up the middle, sleeve the neutral right at the brake, and make the repairs to the primary line as well. So we're on 12 kV setting. So what he's doing up there now, guys, simply using a set of come-alongs. This is a 1.5 ton set of come-alongs that are frozen right now. Come on, gotta love the winter time. So those pull out to probably about 12 feet or so, and you're gonna grab one end of the broken wire with this guy here. Now the wire goes inside that grip, and the harder you pull on this handle, the tighter that's gonna grab. So basically it grabs the wire just like that, and you're pulling on this side right here. You hook one of these on either end of the pullers and simply crank it up. That's gonna bring the two ends of the wires up good and tight. Like I said, 1.5 ton pullers. There's probably 400 or 500 pounds of pull on that line. Once the end of the wire gets up to the work area, you're gonna cut it off flush, good clean cut, and use one of these. It's an automatic sleeve. It's probably the easiest form of splicing the wire we have. Great for the ACSR. The wire goes in the end, you shove it up until that little tab right there is gonna pop out, letting you know that it's seated in place. There's basically 2 wedges inside there. I think I have a video somewhere where I cut one apart, but it works kind of like a Chinese finger trap. The 2 wedges are gonna grab the wire, and as it tries to pull back out, it's gonna jam up in that taper of the sleeve. These things are rated for full ampacity of the wire size, which is number 4 ACSR and number 2. This wire here is all number 2 ACSR. Once that sleeve's in, you release the come-alongs. That's it, good to go. Now, if he was just working on the primary line in that one location, I could take this ground off and we could rely on the ground at the pole right beside him. You don't need to bracket ground, except for he is going to cut the wire. If I did remove this ground right here, or this bond, and he were to want to splice it mid-span, he would have to use a bond and jumper out the cut section so that it's an equal potential on either side of the wire. Alright, so we should be able to close this guy from the ground, no problem at all. I did want to show you guys real quick, this is the solid copper door. It's good for 300 amp. This is a 100 amp barrel with, who knows, probably a 10 amp fuse in it. But when using the telly stick, these doors are great. They got that little notch. Once your hammerhead slides inside, it cannot come out of that notch. These ones here, they fall off the stick a little bit easier, so hopefully I don't embarrass myself here. It's nice when the cutouts are mounted down on the pole a little bit. This one might be a little bit tricky. It's pretty high up, and we got a little bit of wind going today. You want to keep your eye as you're lifting that stick too, in case that door falls out, lands on your head. Hard hat or not, it's gonna hurt. So we're gonna lift it straight up. Makes it raising the stick a lot easier. And then we're gonna lean in. Gives us a little bit more control on the stick with the lean on it. And drop it right into that cutout. Come on, get in there. All right. I don't usually struggle that much. Now another tip here, guys. You see the ring? Maybe you do, maybe not. If you put your hammerhead right in the ring, you might yank that door right back open. So we're gonna go above the ring, pull it down tight. Now we have full control of the door. We're gonna get into position, lift her up half closed, and boom, power is back on.